Hey everyone, Anders here with another video. Today we are going to go over the Q4 earnings for Perlabis, Kakao, and NCSoft. First, let's start with Perlabis. They demonstrated several encouraging developments despite facing short-term financial pressures. These financial pressures honestly have been an issue for years because Perlabis does not really have multiple assets from which to gain revenue. You'll see this is very apparent when we take a look at Kakao and NCSoft compared to those companies. Perlabis is just not that large, so it relies heavily on BDO and EVE for the bulk of its revenue. Black Desert introduced the new region Edania last quarter, which was met with positive user feedback and is expected to support the game's long-term performance. Meanwhile, EVE Online showed renewed momentum in 2025, releasing 2 expansion packs and achieving its highest quarterly revenue since the pandemic, signaling solid growth within the franchise. Crimson Desert also stood out during major international game shows, generating hype and positive reception from both media and players. The company views this exposure as a key factor in building momentum ahead of its launch next month, and in addition, Perlabis plans to expand offline events and host significant anniversary celebrations to deepen community engagement and strengthen player loyalty. Looking ahead, Perlabis is preparing new titles and additional expansion packs as part of its long-term growth strategy. By diversifying its portfolio and maintaining active content pipelines, they're aiming to sustain market interest and secure future revenue. The fourth quarter wasn't really that great for them. Operating revenue declined by 10.6% quarter over quarter, resulting in both operating and net losses for that period. The decline was partly attributed to weaker performance from Black Desert, which lacked large-scale updates compared to previous quarters. Operating expenses also rose quarter over quarter, driven in part by temporary labor costs associated with restructuring efforts, and they also said marketing expenditures for Crimson Desert are expected to increase significantly as the launch approaches, though they said these costs will decrease after its release. Beyond the near term, some concerns remain regarding financial stability in 2027 and 2028. Uncertainty surrounding the timing and impact of new titles and possible DLC plans for Crimson Desert has raised questions about sustained revenue growth during those years. We now know DokeV is still in development, but is now slated to release in 2028 at the earliest. Plan 8, the third of the new gen titles revealed years ago, is still in active development as well, but we can assume its release will land beyond 2028. Lastly, Black Desert Mobile is getting a remaster update similar to the original Black Desert remaster, finally giving us a PC client for the game starting on March 17. Moving on to Kakao and Kakao Games, the company reported a significant 45% year-over-year growth in PC game revenue, underscoring the continued strength of its core platform. This performance reflects sustained player engagement across its live service portfolio, and among its major franchises, Odin, the MMO more well known as Odin Valhalla Rising, continues to deliver stable results, maintaining consistent performance in its existing markets. Building on Odin's foundation, Kakao also confirmed plans for a new Odin sequel MMORPG scheduled for the second half of this year. The catch here is that although they stated Odin Q, this new sequel is expanded to a global launch, the global part means Taiwan and Japan, as well as Korea, and not Western regions. Looking ahead, several key MMORPG projects are advancing through various development stages. Arcade Chronicles is scheduled to enter external testing in the first half of 2026, with a full global release currently targeted at the end of the year. I made a video on what we know so far about Arcade Chronicles in the channel. Long story short, the game is really no longer an MMO in the traditional sense. Now it seems they're focusing on smaller group content. Meanwhile, Chrono Odyssey is progressing through internal testing phases as development continues, though we did have confirmation Chrono Odyssey has been delayed until the first quarter of 2027. This does line up with the end of service timeframe for New World, so it might end up working out for them if the game continues improving throughout the year. Kakao addressed these delays to Arcade and Chrono, clarifying that they stem from strategic internal discussions rather than development setbacks. The decision to postpone certain releases was made to prioritize long-term performance and global positioning rather than short-term launch windows. Given the scale and resource intensity required for modern MMORPGs, they emphasize the need for careful rollout planning. The issue of AI also popped up in their Q&A section, which was expected as Kakao and even NCSoft have both made a push to develop AI in hopes of getting government subsidies. South Korea's Ministry of Science held a competition to develop the nation's first sovereign AI model. Kakao didn't make the initial list of South Korean companies, and just last month, NCSoft got cut from the program for failure to meet the strict technological independence requirements. Kakao also confirmed that AI tools are not yet fully integrated into its development pipeline. However, they do have plans to gradually expand AI utilization, primarily as a means to improve efficiency and prevent unnecessary growth in employee headcount. Rather than replacing creative processes, AI is expected to support development workflows and help maintain operating scalability without significantly increasing labor costs. This is not unique to just Kakao. If you work at a corporate job or listen to these earnings calls, across the board, the sense is that AI will help us reduce labor costs. Reduced labor costs then equates to more profit. Investors like this. Whether true or not, I'll leave for you to decide. Now, lastly, let's move on to NCSoft. They signaled a transition from recovery after a couple of years of just honestly constant failures and some drastic company restructuring to now an expansion phase, positioning 2026 as the beginning of accelerated growth for that company. NCSoft expressed confidence that revenue could reach $2 billion, driven by 3 core pillars: expanding existing intellectual property, launching new global IPs, and accelerating its mobile casual business. At the center of their growth strategy is Ion 2. The company reported strong early performance for Ion, with membership purchases reaching 1 million by early January and increasing to 1.5 million just 2 weeks ago. From launch on November 19 through the year end, gross billings totaled $65 million, and they expect an additional $50 million in revenue from the last month alone. Unlike traditional MMORPG launches that typically see rapid user decline, Ion 2 has maintained a stable user base. Most revenue currently comes from membership subscriptions, supported by cosmetic sales tied to seasonal updates. They're saying the game's design intentionally balances PvE and PvP content to avoid the steep drop-offs often associated with pay-to-win mechanics. A major global launch is scheduled for the third quarter of this year, possibly September, with NCSoft expressing confidence that global revenue could actually exceed what we've seen from Korea and Taiwan. The company has strengthened its global publishing capabilities by recruiting senior talent to NC America. This includes executives like Merv Lee Kwai, who used to work for Amazon Games and was in charge of publishing for Throne and Liberty and Lost Ark. Beyond just Ion 2, NCSoft plans to reinforce its legacy franchise through spin-offs and regional expansions. 5 spin-off titles are scheduled for release this year, including Lineage Classic that just got released, Guild Wars Reforged Mobile, and an Ion mobile title developed by Chenchu Games. Lineage Classic has already demonstrated strong PC cafe rankings in Korea, although some negative feedback from streamers has influenced short-term sentiment. Despite this, they stated that early data meets or exceeds internal expectations. Lineage Classic is targeting returning veteran players rather than young audiences and is expected to support overall PC Lineage revenue growth through a subscription model. NCSoft is also preparing multiple new IP launches, including Time Takers, Limit Zero Breakers, and Cinder City, all entering global closed beta testing beginning in March. A staggered rollout is expected starting in late Q2 of this year, depending on beta results. I have a video on the channel going over what we know so far about Cinder City, though expect an updated version soon as we've seen some changes to the game's original development. Looking further ahead, the 2027 pipeline includes Horizon Steel Frontiers, an MMO based on the Horizon IP, the next-generation shooter Bonfire, Project AT by Dynamis 1, and the MMO Project R by Dexter Studios. NCSoft also plans to diversify into roguelike and FPS titles through both in-house development and third-party publishing. A major strategic shift is NCSoft's aggressive push into mobile casual gaming. They aim for the segment to account for 1/3 of total company revenue next year. Growth will initially be driven by acquisitions, with natural expansion to follow. In terms of AI, they did argue that concerns for AI are overstated. While AI may improve productivity, they don't believe it can fully replace the development of high-quality AAA titles. Instead, AI will be integrated to enhance efficiency through internal task forces and proprietary models. And that's it for this one. I'll leave you with a quick look at the stock price for these 3 companies in the last 5 days to give you a sense of market reactions to these revenue reports. Let me know what you think about these MMO delays for Kakao. Western MMO development is looking pretty barren right now, but the amount of MMOs coming out of Asia seems to have accelerated. Let me know if you think that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like and subscribe for more videos like this. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.